Okay.
I've listened.
You know
Are we
what?
live now?
We're live now. Yes, we're live now.
ammunition.
I shouldn't
Right.
have actually. We should have gone live 10 seconds before because I wish that everybody had seen the blue puppet talking about NFTs and blockchains. That would have been the perfect the perfect opening to the show. But for those of you who missed it,
Followed quickly by Geek Head Explorer.
our friend Felix Feltfinger, who was with us this month, proposed that the solution to all of the problems of identity and continuity and sense of self that are raised by technology like Star Trek's transporter will be solved by NFTs and the blockchain. So
look, NFTs and blockchains are terrible for the environment, use up a ton of electricity, all this stuff. But it's also annoying. Because now, like, nobody can play online games like Final Fantasy 14. Nobody can find the processors or like GPUs, whatever they need to build their computer, because they're all being used up by these blockchains.
You missed what's annoying about it, Nick. What's annoying about it is that I have to hear about it.
Yes. It's like, wasn't crypto bad enough? And now, like,
they have to make a cartoon of NFT lions and NFT monkeys, as it were, as just so that like there's like some substantial thing about it. I don't know. Honestly, it's like the NFT market is going to crash soon eventually because the biggest sales of NFT is from like a couple of like a small handful of guys that were just like spreading the money across to each other. It's money laundering and scamming, as it were. And they're trying to build up, just like with the stock market, inflate the price of the NFTs to the law so that other people go like, whoa, the NFTs are this much. I must get on this investment, as it were. And then it'll crash. And like some people will get run off with the money while others are just left penniless. I hate the stock market.
Well, honestly, I got a bunch of tulips over here. I am set.
That's perfect. I just want to mention in our private Zoom chat here, Julian, who's with us, but who doesn't want to talk too much because he's on a train, calls it the Thomas Riker problem. As far as the blockchain guaranteeing the uniqueness of teleported entities.
I remember somebody like had this gag where it's like, oh, let's say the Riker thing happens now and then. You know, do they have some kind of protocol for it? The Riker protocol or whatever, where like, we got a duplicate. There's still somebody standing here.
Oh, that's called the Janewix Tuvix scenario.
Yes. Or how Hugh Jackman dealt with it in The Prestige.
Oh yes.
Hey, this is a problem. I know how to fix this.
But I think someone would call that Bam Suvis. It showed up in a second Star Trek show. Get a little huffy about it.
Actually,
Star Trek, I think, underestimates the efficiency of a good incinerator.
Speaking of
Tesla flipper.
Speaking of if the Thomas Riker thing happens occasionally, and if there's a protocol, that was one of the better, at least in theory, it was one of the better jokes on Lower Decks this season, because that happened to Boimler, and they just completely were like, oh, okay, well, one of you can go to this ship and one of you will stay on this ship. Like they were just like, oh, okay, whatever. Like it wasn't a big deal at all.
Yeah. And it was it was Riker that just said, well, no big deal. I like you better. And he picked he had to pick between identical versions and liked one better.
Like ladies, there's plenty of Boimler to go around.
Well, with like so many Rikers, they'll prove how much of a man-slut he is. Oh, but I shouldn't slut slang. I'm a bad feminist now. I'm sorry. I should hung my hat in shame, which is conveniently a top hat, as we mentioned the Prestige.
He's not a slut. He's a fuckboy.
Yes, exactly. I forgot.
Lego has taught us this lesson.
I believe.
And you have to spell it with an I.
Yes, exactly.
I think Gene mentioned like he wouldn't stop using people as sex symbols. So there you go.
I say you have a
what you got?
Comments?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What did you guys do for the holidays?
Nothing. Honestly, nothing. And here's the thing: like I got the top of my door, and people's like, Jonathan, you want to come out and share gifts? It's like, no, I already grabbed my gifts already. And I just went outside. I already grabbed my like stocking before like I can talk to my brothers. I just like went outside and grabbed like the cinnamon rolls that were made. But Isaiah, you just showed us something. What do you got for Christmas?
I just want to show you some of the stuff I got.
Mhm.
So I got the whole series of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh,
Nice.
I don't have to stream it anymore on Hulu, so I can, and like it's even bigger on my TV, which is amazing. I got the whole series of Enterprise.
Wow.
Cool.
Awesome.
My condolences.
The final season was good, actually.
People like what they like.
And I also got some decals for my space shuttle that I'm making. I'm making the space shuttle Enterprise.
Nice.
I got some decals for that. So
How are you making it? Are you doing a 3D print or?
It's a model kit. It's a Rebel model kit. And then lastly I got because I got a lot of stuff. I don't want to show you guys everything I got because it's gonna take too much time. But a friend of mine got me this. This is the RMS, the QE2.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I got that. And I also got some comic books too.
Awesome. What comic is
Kung
that?
Fu.
We have to pull back. Oh, after school kung fu.
It's Street Anger. Okay.
Oh, okay.
After school kung fu. Oh, nice.
Angel.
And the Street Angel. Okay.
That is an angry kid. I like stories about angry kids. They have a lot to be angry about because adults are stupid.
Yeah.
Well, I
Really.
thought it was about geometry. That was Street Angle.
Ooh.
Ooh. That looks cool.
Nice.
The Moonlander. That's why that showed us.
Yeah.
The Lunar Lander. The LEM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess mine. That's cool. Yeah, I guess mine's a good Christmas because like nothing else has happened and nothing bad has happened. So it's like in this world, if nothing bad's happened, you gotta count your blessings there at least.
Exactly. Yeah, I had dinner yesterday with my dad and my brother, and other than that, I've been just watching Christmas episodes of classic TV shows. So I had a pretty good Christmas too. Let me see, what did I watch yesterday? I watched the Christmas episodes of Perfect Strangers. I watched the Christmas episode of All in the Family. I watched the Christmas episode of MacGyver. I did actually watch my favorite movie version of A Christmas Carol, the Alastair Sim version that I mentioned. If anybody saw the Ask Away Friday night, that was my favorite.
I did. This time it wasn't me that caused the shit show in the live chats.
Yeah, I missed that, but I heard about that with Kemp. Yeah.
Yeah, because Carl Rittenhouse, it was self-defense, but that's a whole other discussion. We don't have to go into it.
Yeah, I think when you
So
show up to a place with a gun that you're not supposed to be.
Actually, John, I actually just got out of Facebook jail because I was commenting on the whole trial with Kim Porter, the cop that killed Dante Wright.
Yeah, she's actually guilty. So that's one good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and some people on Facebook, on this news feed, were saying if you follow the law, you wouldn't have to get shot. And then I was arguing, so you want to get rid of the Geneva Convention and all these other things? And it's follow the law, you won't get shot. It's no, if I was a Capitol policeman, I would have shot all the rioters. If you want to use that justification.
Hey, they broke the law.
Why didn't you just comply?
If they didn't want shot, they shouldn't have been rioting. Well, yeah.
It's just amazing how much these people who often overlap with the whole pro-life crowd, just how little they actually value life once it comes out of the womb. They only care about you until the moment you're born. Once you're a grown-up, it's hey, just kill them all so I don't have to look at them or think about these people that I disagree with.
Well, they don't even care about you before you're a grown-up. They just care about you after you're out of the womb.
Well, because you're useful for the device for the political wedge of the abortion issue, and it's not about the child itself that's inside the person's uterus. It's about controlling the person with the uterus's body, as it were.
Well, yeah. I mean, if anything, one of the things that the Trump presidency should have taught all of us, if we didn't know it already, was that the Republican party doesn't actually have principles. They pretend to have principles whenever they need to for their political aims. Like the whole thing with Hillary Clinton and the private email server, and like how many prominent Republicans since then have been, revealed to have been using a private email address for government business, and not a single Republican has said boo about it. But when Hillary Clinton had a private email server, it was like the worst thing that ever happened.
Also, Obama's tan too. Remember that?
Yeah, don't forget they had eight Benghazi investigations.
Yeah.
It was not about the emails. It was about a way of demonizing Hillary Clinton for something, as it were. They were always going to do that. So which is why don't listen to Republicans. They're not playing the same game as you. They're not acting in good faith. They're not following by the same rules. So if you're taking them at your word, you're being played.
Yeah, they had 8 Benghazi investigations, and they don't even want to have one January 6th investigation. Like they have been dragging their feet about that and throwing a tantrum about that the entire time.
Yeah, my mom says those were just like spontaneous tours. My mom said they were.
Exactly.
Yeah, I watch some good flicks, and it talks about just take a tour of the Capitol whenever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's on good flicks.
It's your house. It's the people's. It's the people's house.
People's house.
Yeah.
It's in the.
On a lighter note, I had a pretty. On a lighter note, I had a pretty decent Christmas.
Yeah.
Wasn't terribly busy. I just got to see a little bit of family. But what I was worried about was that I would get everybody. That I would have already gotten everybody sick, because you see, I went to see Spider-Man No Way Home a few days after it was released. And I thought, I'll wait a few days, and then hopefully the theater won't be as crowded. It was crowded still.
Yeah.
And I naively assumed that the other people who were in the room would be wearing masks, like me. I must have been the only person out of like 100 that was wearing a mask. And even after 5 minutes, I'm like, oh fuck, I'm just swimming in Omicron. I'm gonna get everybody I know sick.
Yeah.
And like, I'm gonna have to wear a mask around the house. I'm gonna have to just stay in my room for the next couple of weeks. And I just thought for sure that like everyone here, my family's they're all gonna come down with COVID just in time for Christmas. And thankfully they have not. So give or take a few more days. We'll see if they still come down with something, but hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Are you good? You test okay or not?
Oh, I don't have the tests.
Oh, okay. Because sometimes you can get those just sent to you.
Yeah.
So I will say I've seen a lot of false negatives. I swear, so many people that I know, like they would take a test and it said negative, and then they would come down with very COVID-like symptoms anyway.
Yeah.
It's hard to do. But as Holland says in the Christmas video you put up yesterday, Steve, at least for those who are alive, because you know what? Honestly, whereas we're entering the 3rd year of the 2-week pandemic,
yes,
we're alive. So it's always true for my comrades anyway, since they're like of marginalized communities and disabled, and capitalism is crushing them, as it were. But you know what? Especially with like COVID, as it were, being alive, knock on wood, count your blessings.
You survived. You're still here.
They asked me to take my mask off when I went to go see the movie. Mind you, it was a Spider-Man mask. So.
But that's the best level of protection. That's full head coverage. Like
that is.
That reminds me of the comic of like seeing all the superheroes have to line up to get their masks, and Spider-Man's walking out. See, I'm already masked. I'm way ahead of all of you. You need
Batman was pissed to this whole thing.
In King County, you do have to require a mask when you're at a restaurant or a movie theater, except that you're allowed to take it off when you're eating. That's about it, as it were. But also, you have to show proof of vaccination in order to like enter into a movie theater or a restaurant, as it were. Which is why my younger brother has to get his 2nd shot. He finally got his 1st shot, but he needs to get his 2nd shot, because that's why he was unable to see the My Hero Academia movie, and that's why he was unable to join my family to celebrate my brother's birthday.
I should be eligible for my 1st booster next month.
Oh, good.
As of the 3rd of January, Philadelphia is going to be required, the city, not the Commonwealth, is going to be requiring proof of vaccination to eat indoors anywhere, or to be basically anywhere that serves food, will require proof of vaccination. The only exception to that being malls, in which the world will have to have the food court roped off and check proof of vaccination there.
You know, I had when I saw Spider-Man the opening day, I guess technically the Thursday was opening day because they had like late night screening, but the Friday that it opened, and I had a similar experience to Nick, only my theater wasn't quite that full. I saw the first screening in the morning that they had, so I went to the 10 a.m. and it was a small, it was one of the smaller theaters, and it was maybe a little less than half full, and I was not the only person wearing a mask. I kept my mask on the whole time. There, I saw after, as we were all, sort of coming in and going out, I noticed a couple of other people that had their masks on. But fortunately, we weren't it wasn't so crowded, and there was like, several seats, space between me and the next closest person. So it wasn't as bad, but it was still like, I did have the thought when I looked around and I was like, oh boy, lots of people here. There were people in
front of. There were people in front of me, behind me, like one seat away to either side. I even pulled my hood over so that they couldn't cough on the back of my head and get in my hair or whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's unnerving. It's it's changed how everybody kind of feels. Like, I mean, you just can't kind of see it coming.
It's the most like. It's the most the movie theater thing is the most minor of the inconveniences. Like, it's not something that I want to harp on and be like, oh, this is terrible. But like, I mean, it is a little. It's an adjustment because like I really liked the Spider-Man movie, and if not for COVID, I would have gone back to see it at least a couple of times by now. Like, I mean, I saw Spider-Man 2 in the theater 7 times, and I didn't like this movie that much, but I probably would have gone back to see it, once or twice.
I've not seen it yet because of COVID. Like, I'm waiting until the new year when the vaccine requirements go into effect. I have not been to a movie since this whole thing started.
Well, you are a less reckless person than I am. Spider-Man is the only movie that I have gone out to see since the pandemic started, and I won't go to see another one probably until Batman comes out. And I mean, if things are really bad when Batman comes out, I'll skip that too. But if it seems like relatively safe, where I feel like I can go out and socially distance and have a mask on and be okay, then I'll go see Batman. But
I've barely been to the movies all year.
But part of I'm a bit more privileged in that where I live is also a major metropolis, and the area takes it more seriously. So I have the option of going to places that currently require vaccination, even though the city doesn't necessarily require it. There are plenty of restaurants that require proof of vaccination in the city of Philadelphia.
First
doesn't exist elsewhere.
First of all, are you saying that Hagerstown is not a major metropolis?
Okay, so I've barely been to the movies all year. I made an exception for Spider-Man, and I've been out of the loop so long that I naively thought there might be other people in this portion of Maine that were being careful. Nope. and then I'm like, shoot. Well, now I want to see Matrix Resurrections. Is that only in theaters? And I saw it's streamable. I'm like, thank you.
Oh yeah, I did watch the new Matrix movie the day that it came out, and there's no way I would have gone to see that in a movie theater. I didn't want to see it that bad. The only reason I watched it was because I subscribed to HBO Max and it was on. I was like, oh shit, I'll check out the new Matrix. No way I was going to do it.
I enjoyed the movie. I'm just glad that I didn't have to kill my loved ones to see it.
Yes.
Danger.
I am going to see a new movie in January as well, because like I mentioned, I saw the My Hero Academia movie. What was the other anime? Oh yes, there was the Sword Art Online movie. I also saw the only non-anime movie I went to the theaters to see was Black Widow. That's about it. Which I like Black Widow. Not of others did it, but that's fine. I understand why. But next. Yeah, I thought it was good. But the next movie I'm going to see is Belle, from the director of Summer Wars, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, Wolf Children, and Mamoru Hosoda. So it's like
I'm going to see a movie called Moonfall. It's a Roland Emmerich movie.
Oh, I feel bad for you. I wonder what the character's going to run away from this time, because in like the day after tomorrow, they were running away, trying to outrun Super Cold. In like 2012, they were trying to. The plane was like taking off on a runway that was falling apart. So what? Are the characters going to run away from the moon?
Well, there are recurring themes in Roland Emmerich's work.
Look, I just enjoy the visuals of them. I just enjoy the visuals of the moon entering the Roche limit and flaking apart, and what that would look like from the planet's surface, and the atmosphere being pulled away. I love that shit.
Just enjoy it for like 30 seconds and go, okay, well, that's it for that hamster and that golfer.
You know what, though? A movie that I don't think I'll see it in the theater, but there's a chance that it depends on where we're at then with the pandemic. So the second Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Here's the funny thing about that. Sonic released in 1991, the year I was born, but you know, it's still a few months away. This movie releases April 8th, my birthday. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
You must go.
Well, I have to see it now.
You put on that burn zone shit suit and you just go. Get yourself to Purell and just be prepared to not talk to your family for a few weeks.
Well, that's the really shitty thing is that my family, like my brother and my mother and so on, they like to see me on my birthday. And usually I'll pick a movie off of like a streaming service that we normally wouldn't watch, but some that I want them to see. And they found out about the Sonic movie and they're like, hey, why don't we see that? I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to drag you guys to the theater for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And like, no, come on, it'll be fun. Let's go see it. I'm like, guys, the pandemic.
That shit is love. That's what love is.
Yes, we will risk death to see the movie. To see the Sonic the Hedgehog sequel.
Yes.
We will see. We will go.
The movie with the famously bad CGI faces.
Yeah, so anyway, we heard you, fans. Not even going to direct to stream this. We're just going straight to the theater because you demanded it.
I love that they rushed a sequel to the Sonic the Hedgehog movie.
But before I say, I just want to add one last thing. This is the really tragic part, though, concerning Sonic, is that the first movie released like just as the pandemic, had reached
it was the last movie a lot of people saw.
Yeah, same with me.
Yeah.
And then some people, for a little while, people were kind of hopeful that we might get out of this soon. And when it was said that it would release sometime early in 2022, they're like, man, wouldn't it be crazy if Sonic the Hedgehog started and ended the pandemic and we could all go back to our normal lives because Sonic saved us? And I was like, nope, we're going to be in this pandemic for like another 5 years.
Yeah. There's going to be so many Sonic the Hedgehog sequels by the time this is over.
Oh, we're going to count how long the pandemic lasted by how many Sonic movies that they released.
Yeah, exactly. Like that. Yeah.
Remember the pandemic lasted so long that they made like 5 Sonic movies?
That was only 3 Sonics ago.
Exactly. Isaiah, your hand's been up.
So yeah, and then additional good news. I got up at 5:30 Christmas to watch the launch of the James Webb Telescope.
Yes.
That went up, and it's nice way to
And we're very, very happy to see that it was a success.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And and actually, I misspoke. On Friday, somebody asked about it, and I misspoke when I described the distance of its orbit. I said it would be out near the moon. It will actually be much further from Earth than the moon. It'll be well beyond the moon
L2.
orbit. It's at the L. Yeah, the
That's L2.
Yeah, it'll be at the second Lagrange point. Yeah. Yeah.
I think I had a quick question about the LEM.
Like a model that I have. Yes.
Well, I mean, about the model and also about the vehicle. Does anyone know? Because they talked about like parts of it were as thin as tin foil, and you could just the astronauts could actually punch through it.
Yeah, because it needed to be designed for 1/6 gravity. Because when you're going into space, you need to weight and feel is everything. So we sent probes to the moon before we sent people there, and we know that the gravity is 1/6. So we had to design the vehicle that's 1/6. So yeah, some parts of it are designed where it's where like the materials is very thin. But again, it's designed to be used only in space, so it's designed with that in mind.
Yeah, no atmosphere.
Yeah, that was just unbelievable, though. So that thanks.
That's cool.
Yeah, that is one of the coolest things because, like Isaiah said, they designed it to be as lightweight as possible because it had to not only land, but then the top of it had to take off again, so they could rendezvous with the command module that would stay in lunar orbit the whole time. Yeah. So it couldn't be any heavier than it needed to be, and the walls could be that thin because there's no atmosphere on the moon, and it's not like they needed to have they didn't need protection from atmospheric pressure because there wasn't any. So as long as they kept the door closed,
I think it would just blow out like Jiffy Pop or something, like because there's atmosphere in the ship going out. So I was stunned that you could get something that thin. Well, our balloons.
Well, I mean, the people who design these things are like the cream of the crop when it comes to engineers. So it's like, I mean, people like stayed up all night and all day, like trying to like figure out how to get this. I mean, we took a lunar rover up there, and like we had to fold that into the descent stage of the lunar.
So. Can you imagine what the like? I mean, it wouldn't have been called a pitch meeting probably, but what the pitch meeting would have been at NASA when some guy walked in and said, "Okay, what if they take a car with them?"
Jim wants a car, and also here's an Allen wrench and help to it.
The car's gonna fold up and it's gonna stay under the lem. And they're just going to unfold it when they land on the moon, and they're going to drive a car.
No, I was thinking like they get the Allen wrench, they're all sitting around in their spacesuits, trying to like, peg, how many pegs we got? And then on their one short. Is there any footage? I mean, I would kill to know footage of that to watch that thing, kind of get taken out.
So one thing that I've got for Christmas, I haven't used it yet, I haven't played it yet, but one thing that I got for Christmas, my brother gave me some money that I could like redeem on Steam, and I got the Halo Master Chief Collection for it. It's a bunch of Halo games, so I'm gonna have fun playing those. I'm not too into like the shooter games or whatever, but I love the settings of those games. Halo. Because they greatly popularized a lot of sci-fi concepts that before then had only ever appeared in obscure like novels, like ring worlds. That's what Halo is. It's a ring world, like in that book. And they also have like Dyson spheres, structures like Rama, that long tube thing with a biome inside it. I want to see like movies with settings like that, but we're probably never going to get it. So these games are just going to have to be the next best thing.
Well, there was like the Halo Legends, which is an anthology movie, enemy movie of like Halo. So it's like there was a Halo movie in a way.
Well, they are also making the Halo live action series. I forgot about that.
I don't know the other day. Yeah.
Hopefully we will finally get to see a ring world in a live action thing. That'll be fun. Hopefully.
Yeah. Felix, you had a question for Isaiah, right?
Oh no, it was if he knew of any footage of that freaking car coming out, because
I'm sure there's.
I don't know where they would have stooped it.
Well, they had to fold it up somewhere. Well, they had to. Well, there's like images of them like practicing it here on Earth before they took it up there. It's like a Rector set that they had to like fold it up, and I mean it's pretty crazy how they did it.
It is. I mean, it's just fascinating. I mean, it was 1971.
I think by the time they took the lunar rover up, it was
Yeah, then they could just they're just effing around. They got nothing up there because they didn't find space crabs or Klingons. And Stan Kubrick had a 4-picture deal with Apollo. So
I think what happened was after Apollo 13, they started to get cocky. They were like, "You are kidding me! Like we saved these guys' lives. We told them. We told them how to scrounge together an air purifier with shit they just had floating around their space capsule that they didn't even know they were going to need for this. I bet we could have them take a car up there." And they said, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
We were promised slimy space aliens, and goddamn it, we're going to have them.
I mean, they tried again after the tragedy of Apollo 1, where like all the pilots they burned up in like the cockpit. That's where. So it's like deaths of astronauts was not going to stop them. So
it was Kennedy's dream. It was Kennedy's dream.
It was honestly also because like they wanted to like make sure that they got to space first or the moon first before so that they could beat the Soviets, because they were also chopping out the bits.
Well, because the thing is, I mean. We learned years later that the Soviets actually never really even got close to land people.
We were at that point. We had been behind. We had been the second on everything.
Oh, absolutely, yes, we were. And that's why there was that sense of urgency. But as it turned out, when they got to the point of okay, we're going to try to send people to the moon, we actually were way ahead of anywhere the Soviets ever got. But for most of the space race, they were kicking our ass.
Well, I liked afterward, because it was like the Soviets says, moon? What moon? We don't know about no moon. And they just denied that they were even trying to get there.
To be fair, also, I mean, that they, as far as like they were beating us, and yes, they absolutely did beat us. They also had a slightly different relationship with the press and what they were willing to put out there. There were a couple of attempts before your Gagarin and all that didn't go quite too far.
Oh yeah, and if you know anything about the safety protocols of the Soviet manned missions in the 60s, they're pretty shocking. I mean, like there was I think they discovered during one of those test flights that CMAC just mentioned before Gagarin's flight, when they realized that I think it was the Vostok was the name of the capsule that Gagarin flew. That was like their first sort of human rated space capsule. It could not land safely after reentry. Like there was no way to do a safe landing or splashdown with the Vostok. So the Soviet space program said, okay, then they'll just bail out. And that's what they did. Like that's how Gagarin, like a lot of people don't know, Yuri Gagarin, his space capsule did not splash down in the ocean or soft land with a parachute. He bailed out and he parachuted out to safety. And that's how all of those early cosmonauts did it, because they couldn't figure out.
Well, back on the space, so parachuting now, there's like a capsule is not that different.
Yeah, they
could imagine making that decision, like knowing at what point it is safe to bail out, because you're coming in at multiples of the speed of sound.
You're falling to the earth from space.
Well, I mean, I think they got it down to like, are they helo jumps? The high altitude.
Oh yeah.
High altitude is a little different than you're literally coming in ballistic.
So I just
you're just going to hit the ground at like 100 miles an hour. I mean that's I think
bend your knees.
As long as you get the capsule bend your knees
when you land.
I just want to say some really crazy.
Just go with the fall.
Before I forget, it's just one more thing that's Christmas related. It's about about trees. So you know how like when you cut down a tree, you gotta put it in water real quick before it like seals itself up, and then it'll just dry up and die. So I got my tree like the day after Thanksgiving. So I've had it for a month. And I couldn't bring it in at first. I had to like leave it outside when it was like a blizzard for like almost 2 days before I finally like brought it in. And mine is still doing just fine somehow. But my brother's tree his like closed itself up right away. Ooh. And by the time it got to Christmas, like the bottom half of it was bare. It's like if you just touch it, like a shower of needles comes down like in the cartoon.
Oh, wow.
Yes,
yeah.
Daniel just like tweeted out that like, his favorite Christmas tradition is taking down all the Christmas decorations on Christmas Day. He didn't even wait for his like kids to like go to bed or something like that. No, it's all down as it were. I don't put mine up.
Christmas is over.
I typically take the tree down like around New Year's.
That's what we always did.
After like New Year's Day, I take it down.
That's what we always did. Yeah.
I'm thinking next year I might just get a plastic one.
Yeah, well, I have an allergy, so that was a consideration to finally get a plastic tree for me. But I'm not allergic to pine or Douglas fir or anything like that. And we're in Washington State, Pacific Northwest, so we have a lot of evergreen trees anyway. But like, once we move into this apartment, this place is tiny as hell. Even for like the fake plastic tree that we actually do got, it's like, no. Why bother putting it up? The only reason that like, and these were not put up until candy was put into it, as it were. And so this is the only Christmas decoration we put up. The stocking for
you got the orange rotten away top of that thing there.
What?
The orange should always be an orange in the.
Yeah, that's what I've been eating out of. Yes, the chocolate orange.
Oh, good.
So before I forget, there's one other thing. This is not related to Christmas. It's related to COVID. Mm-hmm. So what's happening now with Omicron is exactly what I was worried about, that, you know, we would get new variants that would be more resistant to the vaccines. And now I mean, the thing is, I know it's like instinct for some of us to just blame the anti-vaxxers here, but there's also other parts of the world to worry about, like in Africa, where they desperately want the vaccine, but we're not giving it to them. So it's just a petri dish. It's just a hotbed for new variants to spring up. And I have to start wondering. I don't usually like to get conspiratorial like this, but these companies that, you know, aren't willing to give up their patents, could there be more than an immediate like reason for it? Could it also be like, well, hey, if we let new variants of COVID breed in this part of the world, then we have to make more vaccines. So that's more work for us, more money to be made. So maybe they don't want the pandemic to ever really end. Maybe they want there to always be like some new variant that they're called upon to take care of.
I think there's enough pressure from other economic interests that would curb that.
Well, the thing is, like capitalism, there's like capitalism has like a bunch of different contradictions. If you think about it in the abstract, you would think like it would be ridiculous to like keep people unhoused, as it were, because it costs more to keep them unhoused, police them, and all that sort of stuff, as opposed to like actually give them housing, as it were. But because of the capitalist interest of those who actually owns the homes, the real estate investors and all those other things, like they want to keep those homes empty so they can sell it at like top dollar price when they finally do sell it, or it's like an investment for like some billionaire in China or Canada or somewhere else, as it were.
With where we're talking about here, Geek, though, is a bit more of a more specific to one to three companies, as opposed to a systemic issue.
But the 1 to 3 companies have their own capitalist interests of like keeping the dollar at air. But
but I'm saying that they would be forced by other capitalist interests to like that are more powerful than them, that want this thing to be over. There's far more than them.
But I think it sometimes just doesn't make sense, and it just sounds like it doesn't make sense. But that's just like the contradiction of capitalism too, because like I mean, Bill Gates probably still wants to like Moderna and Pfizer and whoever else to keep a hold of their IP property rights, as it were, because sometimes capitalists are just as petty as that. Bill Gates is definitely petty as that. I listened to the Behind the Bastards ballads of like Bill Gates. My God, Bill Gates is petty, but I'll give the floor.
Hey, Geek, do you like Ted Turner?
I don't know a bunch about Ted Turner. If he's a billionaire though, then it's because he's a billionaire and owns like the means of control of capitalist enough. Like, and hold on, how much media does AOL Time Warner owns? And that's the thing. They're just he's one of like the 6 different like media companies that own 90% of the media and can manufacture consent.
And I don't even know if he's directly involved anymore, but I mean, he was very much for a long time.
Anyway, sorry for the crazy talk. I just wondered if there's if there's an incentive to make sure that some people always have COVID.
I think it's just short-sighted Rat Bastard Greed.
I don't agree short-sighted, yeah.
Stupidity and greed, immediate greed, probably are going to be. That's the way I bet in Vegas.
But also that's capitalism too. Short-sighted profits.
Yeah. Now, when do you all take your Festivus polls down? Is it before or after the wrestling of the host, the head of household? Because we got one out there and we surrounded it with red and green flamingos, and we are getting written up on neighbor.com.
I got a lot of problems with you people.
Yeah, no, that was sundown. We have the 3 days of Festivus.
The airing of the
grievances. Got a lot of grievances.
You know, yesterday my brother and my sister-in-law and I we watched the Festivus episode.
Just because why not? That's a good episode.
It is. Apparently, I didn't realize this is a real. I did Wikipedia on this, so it must be true. But yeah, one of the writer's dad did this, and his wasn't the poll. The poll was a thing for afterward for the show. But he nailed a broken clock to the wall in a bag, and it was like, yep, that's exactly what I would do. Mm-hmm. And he never explained it to anybody. And the kids just left him alone. Like it was in the 50s, like when dad does something like that, he just leave him
exactly. Alone. He probably has his reasons.
He has his reasons. That wasn't enough for you.
If he wanted to explain himself, he would.
I will tell you later after my 5th heart attack. But yeah, so we when do you guys leave it up? How long does the Festivus poll stay up? That's the only question I have.
I take mine down with the Christmas tree. It's after New Year's. Okay. I take mine down. Yeah.
After New Year's. Okay.
I don't put it up at all. Again, another decoration. I hate the chore of taking down Christmas decorations, though. That's why I never put it back up.
Honestly, that's one of that's one of the reasons why I have enjoyed living by myself the last couple of Christmases is because if I don't want to put up Christmas decorations, I don't have to. And I don't.
Yeah. As somebody who's formerly married as well, who did not grow up in a Christian and Christmas celebrating household.
Yeah.
I will say that not having to do that stuff is a relief. Like even my girlfriend's now, she's down, visiting her folks for the weekend, and I got a weekend just completely to myself.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing.
I will say, because when I was, my family was at least nominally Christian, and we always made a big deal about Christmas, and we always had a tree and decorations and stuff. But when I grew up and moved out on my own, I was like, I don't think I need it. I'm okay without it. And, and then when I was married, we put up decorations every year. But after I was single again, I was like, I think I'm okay. I don't need, I put up, I think I mentioned on a live stream, and you could see it in the Stuffy video I put up yesterday, the little ceramic Christmas tree I put out on my dining room table that used to belong to my grandmother, and I put that out. But that's literally the only Christmas decoration.
My heathen self last night and the night before actually was listening to Christmas carols and stuff, even though I'm not Christian. I did not grow up with it. It's not my holiday, but I still kind of got weirdly into it.
Yeah.
But just for by myself, and when I can turn it off when I want.
Exactly. Isaiah.
Well, we did.
Well, I'm gonna probably disagree here because I like putting up Christmas stuff. I don't know. I like Christmas. I'm not a Christian, but I just like seeing all the. I don't know. Is it just me? Am I a bad person?
You can enjoy the aesthetic of Christmas.
One would argue enjoying it.
Yeah. I mean, here's my Nutcracker jacket over there.
Oh yeah, I was wondering what that's what it is. Yeah.
It's different for people. I didn't grow up with it at all. Even though I grew up in this country, I didn't grow up with it in my house. Yeah. So it's just a different experience, Even when people say they're not Christian, that's take it a little step further for me, because I did not grow up in a even Christian style home. It wasn't a thing in my house.
Yeah, and I mean, even though I don't put up decorations, like there are certainly parts of it that I still really enjoy. You know what I mean? And there are even like I like a lot of Christmas music. I even like some sacred Christmas music. You know, like even though I haven't considered myself a Christian for a very, very long time, but I still like
Silent Night is a beautiful piece.
Yeah, and one of my favorites. I love "Oh Holy Night," especially if it's sung by someone who can hit that high note. Like it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song.
I think "Oh Holy Night" was kind of like actually more radical than it was in like in the original French war. But like just like with other radical songs, like "This Land Is Your Land," they don't really like they focus on like the radical part. So you cut that parts out when they sing it.
I think that by the way, since you mentioned "This Land Is Your Land," I think that a medley of "This Land Is Your Land" and John Lee Hooker's "This Land Is No One's Land" should actually be our national anthem.
You just reminded me of Pinky and the Brain's version of this. Like, this land is my land, it isn't your land.
The more authentically American version.
This is authentically American. Yes, exactly.
My favorite Christmas song is David Foster's "Carol of the Bells," especially like that ending part where it's like that piano part. That gets me all the time.
Yeah. I think I mentioned on my live stream on Friday, my favorite Christmas song is John Lennon's "Happy Christmas, War Is Over," but that's not very much fun at a party.
Yeah.
It's a great goddamn song.
That's only to free up your holiday, though.
It's like when it's time to let everybody know that they need to go now. Party's over.
Happy Christmas, turning the lights on, or singing that.
Grandma got run over by a reindeer in heavy rotation with Puddle of Mud.
If you like dark jokes, Weird Al's "Christmas at Ground Zero" would be
Christmas at Ground Zero is good.
That's a good one.
The Night Santa Went Crazy.
Yes, that's a good one too. Yes,
that one's horrible.
There's a metal Christmas song too. There's not only like Christopher Lee's metal song about like Christmas too, but there's also King Diamond has like "There's No Gifts for Christmas" as a word there, and that's like So believe it or not, that I think August Burn Red has also like actually did like decent metal covers of like actual traditional Christmas songs. You know, better than like all of the like like several different variations of well, at least it's better than "It's Cold Outside." I guess I'll say that.
Yeah, that's always a rough one to explain to your friends in Arizona. They go, "Is it like what 78?" One other thing, I have an artist friend who, when you guys were on the subject of decorations. Okay, Isaiah, you might like this because this might be a compromise for Steve too, to get him back in the Christmas spirit, because those ceramic trees. Every grandma just came with one. When you became a grandma, boom, ceramic Christmas tree.
Absolutely.
But I have a friend who bought an artificial tree, or do we call them pretend trees or whatever? Never took it out of the box. And he just basically sets it out, wraps tinsel around that, puts some lights on it, never took the ornaments out of the box. Stacked them on top.
That's beautiful.
There you go.
That's beautiful.
Shit goes up, shit comes down. Boom.
And they're still in their boxes too.
The boxes are rather attractive. But his is like 25 years old. I mean, it's held together with a bungee cord and duct tape now. So that tree seems. We don't even know if a tree is in there. It's really like a little print sort of situation.
It's the promise.
That's a deep cut. Yeah, it's the promise of a tree, like the promise of income.
Merry fucking Christmas.
Yeah, and then at midnight they all scream. And at midnight they all scream. Well, they all scream. Well, you know what they got to say? They all scream, "Yippee-ki!"
And to all a good night.
Good night.
Hey, what's your favorite non-Christmas movie? Because mine is Star Trek 4, and as I said in the Ask Away with the super chat I sent Steve, there's like parts of that movie that's like, or the soundtrack is like very like Christmassy. I don't know.
For sure.
It's a weird movie. It's a weird movie, and also like not Christmas related. I think in the movie they should have had like when they went to San Francisco, that like in some of the store windows they should have had a poster of Back to the Future just to just, just to
Poke him in the eye.
It is a Christmas movie, but like my favorite one is from Steve. I actually mentioned this to you, or mentioned directly to you on the Ask Away. Tokyo Godfathers by Satoshi Kon takes place on Christmas and even begins with the nativity. 3 homeless people finding a baby in the garbage. And the whole movie is our adventures of trying to like find out where this baby is, where their parents are, what happened, and stuff like that. It's like really touching movie. A lot of Satoshi Kon's works is amazing. So like, but the Christmas movies, well, watch any of the Satoshi Kon movies, but like, definitely Tokyo Godfathers if you want a Christmas movie. But yeah, Julian's probably going to check in the chat though. Brazil. Everyone forgets that like Terry Gilliam's Brazil is a Christmas movie. That's, you know what? I need to rewatch Brazil. I need to rewatch the Terry Gilliam movies. Definitely 12 Monkeys and so, but yeah, Brazil or Time Bandits. You got to be in the right mood to watch
Time Bandits. Yeah,
but
you know what would be really.
I find 12 Monkeys to be something of a Christmas time movie as well.
Exactly. New Year's.
You know, it would be almost too wholesome, but I would like to see them try one day. I know some people would probably consider a waste of money. I want to see a Superman Christmas movie.
Oh yes.
Yeah, what's
that's a shame. It's you're right. I mean, it's a shame because like they would if a studio financed a Superman movie, they would almost have to make it like a summer movie or whatever.
Yeah, they would.
And they'd have to have Doomsday or Brainiac or some other world destroyer in there, so that I want to just
make it a Christmas movie and bring in Mr.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just want to see Superman like helping people out on Christmas Eve.
Yeah, that would be like what Superman does. I love the Justice League cartoon episode of Christmas where because Martian Manhunter doesn't have anyone to go to spend Christmas with or the holidays with, he went to like to
the Kents.
To the Kents, as it were, and I think I'm not sure, but I think it's in that cartoon that like even Clark Kent says like, "You mean Santa is real, right, Ma?" Martian Manhunter has a lovely singing voice. He definitely has a lovely singing voice, and the cartoon he did too.
In the DC universe, Santa may in fact be real.
Yeah, he flies his sleigh all the way to Apocalypse, to Darkseid's planet, to hand him a lump of coal. And then Darkseid is like, kill him.
Yeah, those Omega Beans got nothing on Santa.
Santa doesn't even touch him.
Yeah. Doesn't even touch him, goes right through him.
He doesn't need a photo box.
I mean, it's set during the Christmas season, and there's some Christmas stuff in it. It's not super Christmassy, but I mean, there's Batman Returns is a Batman Christmas movie, so maybe we might get and Spider-Man No Way Home has some Christmas stuff in it. So I mean, we might get a Superman themed Christmas movie, but unfortunately, I don't think it'll be like what you're hoping for, Nick, where it's like it's actually like a Christmas themed movie where it's about Superman, helping people and doing like Christmas stuff like that. I agree with you. I think that would be great, but you're right. It would have to be like a big blockbuster movie with a top rate villain and
it does. It is sad we don't get those those low rent, low production value properties anymore, where you could just like take that shot.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe there'll be an episode of Superman and Lois like that.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That would be absolutely.
That'd be nice. Well, because it's funny. Jason and I are doing the first X-Men movie for late seating for the next late seating episode, and we're recording that later today. And so yesterday, actually Christmas morning, before I went to my various Christmas festivities, I watched the first X-Men again, and it's one of those things where it's like you watch it and then you think about everything that came after it. I mean, specifically in the X-Men series, but also just superhero movies in general, because the first X-Men came out in the year 2000, right? It's sort of the beginning of the superhero movie explosion. And it's like, it's so modest. I mean, it's not even 2 hours long. It's, the supervillain's big evil plan really, if he was successful, would probably only directly affect a few hundred people, because he's just trying to mutate like these world leaders at a conference. He's not trying to take over the world or anything. So it's like an evil plan. It's it's a bad thing he's going to do, but it's not like saving the world type stuff. And it's like, wow, they just don't, other than maybe the Venom movies, I thought have been like this, where it's relatively low scale, and it's been
low stakes.
And it's been nice. That's the thing I like the best about the Venom movies, is like, oh, he's not trying to save the world. It's low stakes.
What immediately concerns him?
Yeah, the second one, the Let There Be Carnage, was like an hour and a half long. It was wonderful. I was like, oh, I wish they made superhero movies like this more often.
And all the reviews that like panned it, they're like, oh, this is just so dull compared to Endgame and all these giant movies that we've been spoiled by.
Yeah, it's like it's funny, it's enjoyable, it has good actors, it gets to the point. It's it doesn't overstay its welcome. I thought it was terrific. It's not like a movie I'm going to be thinking about, in 20 years. Like, it's not an all-time classic, but it's a perfectly fine 90-minute superhero movie. And it
knows what it is. It doesn't pretentiously try to be anything more than that.
And
it just pulls off what it tries to do.
I wish there were more like it. I wish I could get like a live action Spider-Man movie that was like that, where it's just a 90-minute, maybe between 90 minutes and 2 hours long. And it's, Peter Parker's on his way to the grocery store to pick up some eggs for Aunt May, and he gets caught up in an adventure. And 90 minutes later, the story's over.
Happens. Yeah. One damn thing after another, as Peter solves one problem, he sees the next one. And there's some orphanages, and he's got
what though?
He's got to deliver.
Something kind of funny about the production of the first X-Men movie. So you notice how like Hugh Jackman, like every X-Men movie after that, he had to like eat 4 chickens a day and be really ripped. But in the first X-Men movie, he's not even that buff. He's just a guy, and I kind of missed that a little bit too. But what's really funny is like when he had to. When he had to get into the role for it, he didn't know what a Wolverine was. He thought it was some weird made-up animal. So it's like method acting. He came into the set after like looking in the mirror and like making wolf faces and growls and stuff, and it's like, Hugh, what the fuck are you doing?
What are you doing?
I'm a Wolverine. I'm acting like a Wolverine. It's like, no, this is a Wolverine, and like shows him a picture. He's like, oh,
and he's from Australia too. So it's like.
And also, the character you're playing is a human, yes? He's not a Wolverine. That's just.
But even nickname. Funnier though is he kept the claws on for some of the productions. Like there was one stretch where for I think about a month he just walked around his own house, never taking the claws off. And while they were props, they were kind of sharp, so he accidentally cut himself a few times, especially doing things like go into the bathroom.
My God!
And then during the production of the Wolverine movie, Wolverine like Origins, there was that part where he basically had to run down a hallway naked, and he's like, "Look, I don't want anybody looking at me except like the camera people, okay?" And what did the crew do? They found like all the women there. And like gave them like dollar bills and stuff, and then it's like Hugh Jackman runs around the corner, all the ladies like woo, and they're like throwing the dollars in the air.
That's hilarious.
What do you do in this situation? Reflexively, you go, whoop, and he accidentally stabbed himself. He poked himself in the junk with a corpse.
Oh my God!
That must have hurt. One final point, so I have my hand raised, but
go for it.
Julian Sanchez asked that like he wants a film version of the Lobo versus Santa Claus, and that's a link to the fandom wiki about where's that link I have over here? Lobo's paramilitary Christmas special. We need more Lobo. Come on,
fun for the whole family.
Not a lot of Lobo, but some Lobo.
I just love learning about like movie production, behind the scenes stuff. It's always so funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, and there one where someone got stabbed in the chest? It was Sabretooth or something?
Oh,
probably.
There was probably had a fake knife. And then they just stabbed him in the shoulder because they didn't swap out the prop knife.
Oh damn.
I forget who did that, but it was like this big hulking guy, and he just like pulled it out. He kept going with the scene.
That sounds
heck,
familiar.
yeah. I heard that happened in something. I just forgot which movie it was. But I love hearing. I mean, I know this sounds sadistic, but I love hearing about how actors hurt themselves on set. Like Viggo Mortensen, kicking that helmet and actually breaking his toe. So that scream was totally real.
No, that scream was real. He broke his toe on that scream, and it was just like, so that was like it's real. Actually, everyone on the set of Lord of the Rings actually injured themselves, or Brandon Fraser, he injured himself on like a Mummy 2, as it were, because Steven Spielberg, who's not the great director in my opinion, at least look at Van Helsing, but he says that like actors are not weaklings, so you're doing the stunts and we're getting the shots, as we're. But any final call for final points as we're ending the stream?
Oh, well, actually, for actor body count, we went to see Turn Off the Dark. So if you really need to see something, but the cool part was, like, we went to see it after most of the crew were out of body casts, and these little assholes, you just whipped around the entire theater. I mean, they were just like jumping off of one thing or another. It was like all the Cirque du Soleil people that with better asses were right there. And one just plopped down on the platform. We were sitting like in the balcony, and there was one just standing there, and it was like right there.
No better way.
Yeah, what?
No better way to end a holiday weekend live stream.
Touch the butts
and body counts.
Don't touch those.
I do wish
he turned around and waved though.
I do regret that there is no like complete like filmed version of Spider-Man Turn Off the Dark, because I would love to watch it just for morbid curiosity's sake, just to see what a train wreck it actually was.
Repurposed everything, because like they rewrote it 3 times.
Yeah.
No, they'd already built that crap, so you better write around that.
This scene killed somebody. So that's
this scene. Oh no, he was just walking off of a thing, and then they just went boom horizontal, and you could see if they didn't put that clip on there, he just like took the trust fall to the next level.
Jesus.
And I could see that. I looked at that and went, there's no way.
Oh my God, it's crazy.
But the butts were good. I'll just let you know.
I'm glad that
all
the
the
butts
man parts were there. Yeah, butts were good.
It's amazing that the butts are good.
That's so important.
All right.
Important.
So we are past the hour. I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you, Geek, by the way, for starting the process of corralling everybody and saying like, okay, last thoughts. We're going to end the show.
Thank you. Plugs are in the live chat for everyone. Don't forget charity links.
Don't forget the charity links.
And all the links down below. Thank you everyone for coming. Yep.
One more.
Like I said.
One more thing.
Go ahead.
I hope this year I get to move to Titusville. I'm hoping.
Well, fingers crossed for you, buddy. I hope so too. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks everybody, and of course, thanks everybody who's here with me for joining me, for being a patron or a member. I couldn't do this without you. And I'm glad everybody seems like they had a good holiday. Hopefully everybody has a good new year.
We survived.
We survived. That's the most important thing. We'll be back in a month to do this again. So until then, everybody take care of yourselves and stay safe. And we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.